Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Donald Trump held their first meeting, a summit in Florida, to discuss trade issues and security concerns. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C., and this is The Heat. There will be lots to talk about when Chinese President Xi and US President Trump sit down together in Florida. Everything from trade to the South China Sea is on the agenda. But with the recent launch of another missile by the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the situation on the Korean peninsula is sure to dominate the discussion. For more on that and a look at the visit, CGTN's Nathan King joins us now from Palm Beach, Florida. Nathan, with this latest DPRK missile test, how will the issue on the Korean peninsula dominate these talks this week?
You know, it's going to dominate, obviously, and remember there was a similar test when Shinzo Abe, the Japanese Prime Minister, was here at Mar-a-Lago as well. You know, before they've come down here, the White House have described the problem as urgent. Why is it more urgent now? Well, they think within a year or so, the DPRK will have the technology to put a nuclear bomb onto an intercontinental ballistic missile that will be able to hit the continental United States, either Alaska or California. Although the threat has been real, of course, with US troops in the Republic of Korea, allies, the Republic of Korea, Japan nearby as well. But it's also a shift in policy. Remember, the policy in the Obama administration was one of strategic patience, working in the region with China as well to essentially contain the DPRK. But there is a policy review that has finished, although it hasn't been published, by the White House on the DPRK, and they say they're ruling nothing out, including kinetic action, that is diplomatic speak for military strikes. And Donald Trump has said that he will either work with China on the DPRK or will go it alone. A lot of this, of course, is just talk. Behind the talk, there are some sort of strategy. China's strategy, for example, is a dual-track approach, as Wang Yi, the foreign minister, recently outlined at the National People's Congress, where there would be a demilitarization in terms of the DPRK and in the South. That means removing ballistic missile technology recently deployed like THAAD, stopping the exercises that the ROK, the South, conduct with the US every year, which essentially simulates the invasion of the North, but also moving to talks on the denuclearization of the peninsula. Wang Yi suggested that there should be a freeze on exercise in terms of a freeze on nuclear testing by the DPRK. The US is also threatening what they call secondary sanctions. That would be Iran-style financial sanctions as well. All this, of course, is on the table. There has been talk in Washington and Beijing of potentially a grand bargain between China and the US when it comes to the DPRK, although it's not clear how that would be mapped out as well. A lot of talking to do.
So that's the big issue, Nathan. What else on the agenda when these two leaders meet?
Yeah, well, trade, obviously. We saw it in the election campaign with a lot of China bashing from Donald Trump. He has since calmed down his tone a little bit, but he has made clear that the US administration does not like the $300 billion trade deficit, and they still believe that China has taken, as he puts it, American jobs. China, of course, will counter that they have created American jobs by investment and saved the average US family hundreds of dollars a year by cheaper goods that have been imported. You know, they could have a meeting, they could actually find a way forward on this. China is investing quite heavily in the US, could help invest in infrastructure and create American jobs at the same time. But don't necessarily expect concrete agreements on these things, even the DPRK and trade as well. This is a real shirt sleeve summit. The weather's beautiful. Roll up your sleeves, get to know each other, because this relationship is among the world's important, and the two leaders need to get to know each other. We don't have the official program yet, but there will be plenty of time for the two leaders to do just that. Remember, Sunnylands in 2013 with then US President Barack Obama and Xi Jinping then paved the way to the climate deal that we saw a couple of years later, which of course was momentous.